a new bill to replace the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. The proposed legislation would be renamed Viksit Bharat Guarantee for Rozgar and Ajivika Mission Gramin. It proposes several changes to the scheme, including increasing the work days and change to the funding structure to impose higher financial responsibilities on state governments. Sapna Das is here with more. Sapna, how will this new legislation change the rural employment scheme?
Well, it's quite a dramatic overhaul of the Mgnrega, so to speak. So first of all, let's start with the funding part of it. So two aspects over here. A, the government is now officially declaring the fact that the rural guarantee scheme, the new Avatar, the new bills that we're talking about, that's going to be a centrally sponsored scheme, which means that the states will also have to pitch in quite a lot of money. So 60-40 is a general sharing, equation under all centrally sponsored schemes. For the northeastern states and the UTs, of course, the central will have a higher share. 90% of the funding will come from the central government funds and 10% by the state. So that's one aspect. The second, equally important, or rather more important, is the fact that under the new bill, the funding for rural unemployment, that now basically moves from demand-based to normative-based. So normative-based funding means that you have to have certain very clear-cut parameters on the basis of which the funds will be released to the state governments. Now, this is very, very important. So far, what had been happening was that Mgnrega was a demand-driven scheme. So as and how there used to be an additional requirement by state governments, they used to come up with the demand to the central government, and after due examination, the money was either released or released in tranches or not released, depends on the scenario. But here it's very clear that leeway with the states is not really going to be there. So on both these aspects, state governments will have to really watch out that they're actually asking the money for what it's going to be really spent on. And even that is not going to be defined. There are going to be 4 very clear categories on which funds for rural employment are going to be released. Basically, waterworks, extreme weather situations, core rural infrastructure and livelihood-related infrastructure, rural infrastructure. So on these 4 parameters, so all in all, it's quite a big sweep, under the new bill that we're talking about. However, the good part of it, or rather, the pros and cons, to balance it out, the number of guaranteed employment days for rural India, that goes up to 125, which is a jump. Apart from this, a 60-day pause, a mandated pause in the Mgnrega, 125-day, that kind of thing is going to be there. This is going to basically ensure that during the peak harvesting and sowing season, there is no dearth of agriculture labor, because a lot of labor goes to Mgnrega and they are busy with those works. So, when you have the peak agriculture seasons coming up, there's a dearth of labor. So here also the central government has made this good, provision wherein there will be a 60-day pause, and those workers will also come under the they'll be able to, work under the agriculture sector. And those 60 days are going to be in addition to the 125 days of guaranteed work. So actually, you're talking about 300 odd days. So I think that's very, very positive for the rural unemployed as well as for the farmers. But on the funding part, that's where the big one is. And we'll have to wait and watch and see that once this bill gets enacted, or rather it becomes an act, and it's rolled out by the state governments, they have to do it within 6 months of the central government notification. We'll have to wait and watch and see what happens to those funds allocated for rural unemployment. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sapna, for that comprehensive update. Shifting focus.